Long before refrigeration became standard in American homes, the Amish, like many traditional communities, had to develop reliable, long-term methods to store essential food staples, especially butter. Butter wasn't just a luxury, it was a critical source of fat, flavor, and nutrition in an otherwise simple diet. But without cold storage, dairy could spoil quickly, especially during summer. So, how did the Amish overcome this challenge? The answer lies in centuries-old wisdom, trial and error, and a deep respect for food preservation. The Amish didn't just find one solution, they refined multiple ways to make butter shelf-stable for months, even years. Among the most reliable and long-lasting methods they developed is something known today as butter canning, or crocked butter, where freshly churned butter is heated, salted, clarified, and sealed in sterilized jars without any moisture. This isn't modern canning with artificial preservatives. It's an ancient method built on the principle of eliminating every condition that bacteria need to grow: moisture, oxygen, and exposure to light. The Amish, through generations of practice, learned how to get these steps right, using only basic tools: no electricity, no vacuum sealers, no refrigeration. In some communities, elder women passed down precise butter packing techniques: how to eliminate all air pockets, how to keep the butter from picking up rancid flavors, and which salts worked best. They'd also bury sealed butter crocks in root cellars, wrap them in cloth soaked with vinegar, or store them in sealed ceramic containers with heavy wax layers. These methods weren't guesswork. They were tested through time, during hot summers, harsh winters, and everything in between. For the Amish, butter wasn't just stored, it was protected like treasure. And that reverence is why, even today, some families can confidently pull out a jar of butter that's been sitting untouched for 5 years and spread it on fresh bread like it was churned yesterday. Step by step, the Amish method of canning butter for long-term storage. The most well-known and widely used Amish method for storing butter for years without refrigeration is often called canned butter, though it doesn't involve pressure canning or high-tech gear. It's a rustic stovetop technique rooted in precision, hygiene, and trust in natural fats. The process begins with freshly churned butter, usually homemade from raw milk cream that's been skimmed and allowed to sit until it thickens slightly, then whipped into butter using a hand churner or paddle. Once the butter is collected, it's rinsed thoroughly with cool, clean water to remove all traces of buttermilk. This step is critical. Any leftover liquid will cause spoilage later. The clean butter is then slowly melted in a heavy-bottomed pot over low heat. This isn't a quick melting. It's a gentle clarification process where the milk solids separate and rise to the top or settle at the bottom. The Amish carefully skim off the foamy top layer and pour off the clear, golden fat, essentially making ghee. This clarified butter is naturally shelf-stable, but the Amish don't stop there. They pour the hot butter into sterilized mason jars, wiping the rims clean, then seal them with canning lids. Because the butter is so hot, the jars vacuum seal themselves as they cool, creating an oxygen-free environment. Some Amish women even double seal by dipping the jar lids in wax. Salt plays a vital role, too. Salted butter lasts longer and resists bacterial growth better. The salt also helps draw out remaining moisture. In some communities, the butter is lightly salted during the melting stage, while others prefer to salt the cream before churning. Every family has its tradition, but all are designed with one goal: eliminate moisture, protect from light, and keep out air. These sealed jars are then stored in cool, dark places: root cellars, pantries, or underground storage rooms dug into the side of a hill. The butter, protected from light, heat, and humidity, can last anywhere from 2 to 5 years. sometimes longer. When opened, it looks like smooth golden ghee and smells rich and clean. It's not just a trick, it's a testament to the Amish mastery of natural preservation. The forgotten method, crocked butter and wax-sealed stoneware. Long before glass jars became common, the Amish and their ancestors preserved butter using what's known as the crocking method, a technique that dates back hundreds of years. This method doesn't rely on canning jars or vacuum seals, but instead on stoneware crocks, salt, cool temperatures, and the sealing power of rendered fat or beeswax. It's a labor-intensive process, but one that the Amish still occasionally use, especially in ultra-conservative districts where even canning lids might be avoided. Here's how it works. Freshly churned butter is first rinsed multiple times with cold spring water to remove every trace of buttermilk, a vital step to prevent souring or mold. The butter is then kneaded and heavily salted. Salt not only enhances flavor, but draws out lingering moisture and acts as a natural preservative. Once it's salted and packed tightly, often by hand, into a ceramic crock, the Amish make sure to remove all air bubbles. Then comes the seal. A layer of wax or rendered animal fat, such as lard or tallow, is poured over the surface to act as an airtight barrier. Others pour one thick layer of sealant on top. Once sealed, the crock is covered with a lid and placed in a dark, consistently cool place, often underground in a root cellar or tucked deep into the corner of a shaded pantry. The thick walls of the crock help stabilize temperature and prevent light from degrading the butter. Because the sealant is food-safe and removable, it can be peeled off when it's time to access the butter, often revealing a creamy, golden spread that tastes almost identical to fresh butter. Some families stored multiple crocks, each labeled by season or year. Crocked butter wasn't just about convenience, it was strategic food security. It meant that even during harsh winters or unexpected shortages, a family still had access to high-fat nourishment, perfect for spreading, baking, or frying. Root cellars and clay storage, nature's refrigerator. The Amish are masters at harnessing the earth itself to preserve food, and butter is no exception. Even after canning or crocking butter, the location and method of storage are what truly determine how long it will last. One of the most ingenious natural systems they use is the root cellar, a cool, dark, and humid underground space that acts like a refrigerator without using a single watt of electricity. Root cellars are carefully designed, dug into hillsides or under homes, insulated with thick earth, and strategically ventilated to regulate humidity and prevent condensation. Temperatures inside stay remarkably stable year-round, usually between 35 degrees Fahrenheit to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is ideal for storing preserved foods, including butter. Inside these root cellars, Amish families will stack their wax-sealed crocks or jars of canned butter on thick wooden shelves, or even embed them directly in the ground for insulation. Some even wrap the jars in linen soaked with vinegar or salt brine to deter mold. In some communities, butter was packed into smaller clay pots, each covered in parchment and sealed with tallow, then buried in sand-lined pits or packed into wooden barrels with layers of straw for insulation. This method protected the butter from light, rodents, and moisture swings, and allowed it to stay fresh for up to 5 years without refrigeration. During hotter months, Amish homes may also use spring houses, small stone buildings constructed directly over flowing springs. These act as a natural cooling system, keeping food cold through constant water circulation. In such places, butter is placed in watertight containers and suspended just above the water, maintaining a low temperature all summer long. Even clay jugs filled with clarified butter can be partially buried in shaded parts of the barn or back garden, insulated with leaves, cloth, or hay. The key is protection from four enemies: light, heat, air, and moisture. This knowledge isn't written in manuals. It's passed down by generations of Amish women and men who treat food preservation as both art and survival. These storage techniques are why butter, once sealed properly, doesn't just last, it thrives. It stays rich, spreadable, and safe to eat year after year. And all of it is done without a single plug or power switch. It's the ultimate testimony to the Amish way: respect for nature, reliance on tradition, and faith in simplicity.